So today we got another Titan build for you guys centered around DPS. The main place I recommend this build will be for portal activities. As a Titan, we're going to be using the best DPS super option for the class, that of course being Thunder Crash. We are also using it on one of the most flexible subclasses in the game, Prismatic. And for those of you wondering, is this going to be another consecration build? It's not. It can be if you want, but I find this certain selection of aspects and abilities to just flow much better as a build. Another build video will drop Thursday, similar aspects and fragments, but not DPS focused, so do keep an eye out on that. But before we jump into this build, just want to say if you enjoy the content and want more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. Without the way, let's talk about some exotics you will want to use on this build. So for armor, this one is going to be fairly easy. Curious of the Falling Star will be the one and only option here. We will talk about a new gear option because that is a modifier that we do need to talk about if it is something hindering you. But with Falling Star, even though it isn't new gear at the moment, its main purpose is going to be the juice up the power of your Thunder Crash super. There is another element when it comes to being amplified and melee final blows or powered melee final blows, increasing your super regen rate. I don't think that is useful here because we're not using consecration, but it can be if you are using consecration. The main buff with this exotic though is that it's going to give you a 55% increased damage to your Thunder Crash. So before, the base number of this super was 5,397 when I tested it in the shooting range. When you use Thunder Crash, this number will bump up to 9,303. It's important to note that these two numbers I am comparing are going to be the explosive damages from Thunder Crash. There is a direct impact number, but this is nothing really compared to the explosive number. So again, base explosive damage will be 5,397. With Falling Star, this will go up to a 9,303. A substantial difference between the two, highlighting why Curious of the Falling Star is so damn good. It's also important to note with these numbers that the overall intellect stats are going to be below 100, so we're not juicing up any extra DPS from those enhanced stats. So the main purpose of Falling Star here is to make a really good super become a consistent beast to use. Now, an alternative exotic chest to use here is going to be Crest of Alpe Lufi. This is more of a support exotic. It doesn't really fit the DPS note as stated, but with new gear at the moment being a frustrating hindrance to get around, it does flow in pretty well. We won't see anything addressed on this matter until Renegades, unfortunately, but yeah, it's great for some heals, and if you're using a super against ads, it's incredible way of generating orbs of power. So yeah. Now, as we slide over to weapons, one stands out the most compared to other exotic primaries, that being the Kvalstov auto rifle. This is going to be an exotic tied to the Pale Heart location from the final shape. In order to obtain this, you need to complete a secret quest post-campaign. If you haven't already completed, it's not that hard. I really urge you to do it. This exotic is phenomenal if you're looking for a primary to use on Prismatic. The main reason why I say phenomenal on Prismatic as a primary is that it is a kinetic damage. That means it can generate both light and darkness energy for transcendence, and that is an incredibly powerful thing, especially when we talk about its exotic perks. The main one, the right choice, reads like this: every 7th bullet from this weapon ricochets to nearby targets. These ricochet bullets, specifically every 7 shots, will deal a massive damage boost, technically a 252% buff. Its other exotic trait though, Eyes Up Guardian, pairs with ricochet bullets so goddamn well and makes you use a lot more of them. So collecting Orbs of Power strengthens this weapon's next several ricochet rounds, providing more damage and more bounces between targets. And an incredible pair, also this weapon has Shoot to Loot, which is a very nice perk to add to the combination of the right choice and Eyes Up Guardian. The only problem here is that Kvalstov, like Falling Star, is not a new gear, so if you're looking for an alternative in the primary slot, similar in line of what we're dealing with Kvalstov primary damage, Outbreak Perfected is going to be a solid alternative to replace Kvalstov if you do need new gear. So with that out the way, the exotics covered, I think it's time to jump in the game and talk about the build. So here we are in game, and as always, let's inspect the drip. I think I look incredible, as I always do when it comes to the fashion. Of course, leave your thoughts down below and what you want to say when it comes to my fashion. So let's jump into the subclass and talk about what we got here. Thunder Crash, we already mentioned it, super of choice. Kind of the main goal here with our DPS stuff. When it comes to our barricade, we're using a rally barricade. When it comes to the jump, we're using high lift. I am a high lift supremacy Titan, and nothing you can say will make me change from the jump. When it comes to our melee, we're not doing consecration, so we are going to be using thunderclap. This is a really powerful melee and pairs really well with what we're going for here. For our grenade of choice, we have glacial grenade. This is, in my opinion, going to be a must for what we're going to be talking about with facet of courage and the fragment. But yeah, I love this here. It is really good and just my favorite grenade for Titans. Aspects, Diamond Lance, build some of that stasis stuff, helps with some of that darkness transcendent building. Also freezes targets when you hit them on impact. You can give yourself a little bit of frost armor potentially. It's a nice aspect with a lot of purpose. And then next to that, we have knockout, helps with some survivability. Kind of honestly, if you're gonna run prismatic on Titan, knockout is kind of going to be a crutch aspect in most cases. And when you pair it with something like facet of protection, it works really, really well. Now, you do get a plus 10 melee stat from facet of protection, which helps with our current stats, so do keep that in mind. But while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. While transcendent, this effect is increased. This is going to help build into more survivability with this build because we're not, using Hammer of Soul, and with Facet of Purpose, we're not getting Restoration. We're going to be getting Bolt Charge instead. So picking up an Overpower grants either Bolt Charge, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the damage type of your equipped super. Since we're going with Arc, we're going to get Bolt Charge here, and Bolt Charge when you pick up an orb is very easy to generate. It's a nice way of pairing with Glacial Grenade if you do throw it into a big enemy or some ads. If you freeze them or they get hit with the ability, the Bolt Charge comes down, shatters a grenade. It is a nice synergetic combo and one I really, really urge you guys to give a spin. Facet of Courage, your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. And this is where Glacial Grenade comes in and why we should keep it in mind when it comes to using a Thunder Crash. So when we tested in the shooting range what Glacial Grenade and Facet of Courage can do to your overall DPS numbers, it could take your Falling Star super damage of 9,303 and bump this up to a 10,745 number. Depending on your stats, depending on what you're doing, Glacial Grenade paired with Facet of Courage into your super is a really powerful combo, min-maxing a lot of that damage and making some of those activities you're doing really easy. Now, next to that other fragment, Facet of Dawn, power melee hits against targets, makes you radiant. This is a good way of getting radiant for your loadout if you don't have an anti-barrier. And since we're not really using a solar weapon, we can't easily make ourselves radiant with precision hits and stuff like that. So this is a nice subtle way. If you are using, for whatever reason, a solar weapon instead of Kvalstov, yeah, you could switch this one out. And then we have Facet of Justice. While transcendent, your ability final blows explode. And then this also helps us with our super stat with a plus 10. So again, nice subtle way of just kind of juicing up Transcendence, and this is going to be really easy to get with Kvalstov as our exotic of choice. Other loadout stuff to talk about when it comes to weapons, we talked about with Kvalstov. We are using Unfall here. You can keep this in any sense of what you want to use. There is a lot of combos you can do. I was also using this Jolting Feedback, Beacon Rounds, Unfall. This is a really good one to use. The new grenade launcher, Romantic Death, is really fun here. Really, honestly, whatever you're doing here is going to be your personal preference. Just ideally, I guess you could say, keep it a special ammo weapon. And then for our heavy, we've been using a rocket launcher with bipod. I love this a lot. I should be making a video some point next week on it. It is an incredible rocket launcher for a lot of ad stuff and just using portal activities. It's going to be hard for me to take this off, to be honest. Now, let's slide over to armor mods and things like that. For our headgear, we have hands-on, gain bonus energy on melee kills. Again, Thunderclap's going to come back pretty quickly and do a lot of damage. We're really good there. And then we have Kinetic Siphon. We are primarily going to be using our Kvalstov weapon and the ricochets and stuff like that. You're going to be killing a lot of things and generating so many orbs. It is crazy. And then collecting Orb of Power causes allies to increase their current armor charge by 1. I want to be nice. That's really all it is. I just want to be nice. Arms, we are using a grenade font. This will increase our font or our stat by plus 20. If you use 2 of these, we'll be at plus 40. And if you use a third one, you will be doing a plus 50 to your grenade stat. In the case of what we're doing here, my stat is at 83. This is going to get it to about a 103, maxing us out at our grenade stat, which just makes us feel really nice. Other one, Momentum Transfer and Heavy Handed are going to be the other mods. On our chest piece, since we want a shit ton of ammo for our secondary and for our heavy, we are using 2 kinetic ammo generations. This pretty much nearly maxes out our ammo generation stat on our Kvostov and is really, really good. And then we have sniper damage resistance. It's important to note though, guys, that if you are wondering why this exotic armor looks different, this is before Edge of Fate, so we have the artifice slot for a +3 weapon and then things like that. So if you guys haven't had a Curious Falling Star, it may look a little bit different if you haven't gotten it before Edge of Fate drop. I know some people asked me that in the comment section before on my other build video. Now for the legs, we have Absolution and Simulation and Innervation. Just kind of helps with some of that regen when we pick up the orbs, and we will be generating a ton of orbs. And then for our mark, we have Outreach, Reaper, and Powerful Attraction. Now, when it comes to our artifact, this is where things get a little bit kind of non-important based on what we're doing. Really, the only one I recommend is that Fresh Bullet Smells. Picking up an ammo brick gives your kinetic weapons increased damage for a short duration. You also can use Light Forged Lead if you want to not use kinetic ammo generation stuff. I am unsure on the benefit it does. Maybe it's a little bit more, but as of right now, I just kind of prefer the ammo generation on the chest piece. You can use this as an alternative, but nothing really here kind of like makes me go, oof, this is great for what we're doing with this specific build. I actually do really like how the fact that this build is artifact neutral, so you can use something like this in a Renegade sandbox or whatever Shadow and Order will be with its sandbox. This will be a build that will last the time. I will say though, the only thing I will mention is going to be the armor sets. Tech Sec, you deal significantly increased kinetic damage to combatant shields, overshields, vehicles, and constructs when you have 2 pieces of Tech Sec armor sets equipped. This is going to be, in my opinion, a requirement when using something like Kvostov. It is so noticeable, it is so deadly, it is really, really good. I also will say, when it comes to another way, I haven't gotten, I guess you could say, a better arm to do it, but this new set, the Smoke Jumper set, a Despairing Soul set actually, 2 pieces. When you pick up an Overpower, gain a brief period of rapidly decaying damage reduction. With the amount of orbs regenerating, that is something you may want to pair. I am 1 away from adding this and replacing this, but I'm looking for a better piece, and I don't have that better piece right now to do that. So Tech Sec and then the Despairing Soul set are 2 pieces each. You should have a great combo there. And then armor stats, this is I think fairly important. Melee stat at 100 at least. Intellect at 100 at least. The reason why is I think this is the most important one. Your super energy regen as a whole is a +190, and when you pick up orbs of power, you get a significant amount of super energy back. So the amount of orbs you're generating, this is going to make the super generation for Thunder Crash really, really just crazy fast, and it is really good. If you do go crazy with max stats, if you use a intellect mod or fonts to get up to a 200 intellect stat, you will deal increased super damage. As of right now, with what I have, it's a 5.5 in PvE. Again, this number when testing it and using Glacial Grenade got up to 13,791 in my testing, so I don't think it's that valuable when it comes to focusing in and then losing out on other stats. But if you want to max out intellect, you do see a substantial difference in some of that DPS numbers. Just know you'll take a hit. And then when it comes to the other preferred stat to focus in on, weapons. As of right now, we're at over 100. 100 I think is the minimum. We get a plus 10% reloading and handling buff, and then a plus 15% to our damage. This is really good stuff there. And then the enhanced stuff, 19% large brick chance. Primary and special damage also gets increased a little bit, almost 3%, and heavy weapon damage is almost 2%. But yeah, those are the armor stats. That's the build. I think it's time to jump out and wrap up this video. So in all, that's pretty much going to be the build. This is a really, really solid build, and one of the most used ones I'm doing right now as I'm grinding the portal, whether it be the new activities from Ash and Iron or just doing solo ops and things like that. This is easy, powerful, and maybe in certain cases a little bit different than what you guys are used to. As a whole though, I'm curious to hear what you have to think on this build. And friendly reminder, if you want to pull this build for yourself, a dim link will be in the description and in the pinned comment below if you're looking to pull this build for yourself. But in all, that's going to be the video. It's a very long one. Sorry about that, but there are some things that I really had to go over. Hopefully the one on Thursday, it's going to be similar. Not as long as this one, I hope, but we'll see how things go. But if you enjoyed, be sure to drop this video a like, helps with the video a ton. And as always, when it comes to content for myself, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. As always, thank you for watching. It is greatly appreciated. Until next time, that's all I have to say on this one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.